All right, guys, coming from the car, we're driving out to Grand Junction, Colorado right now. We're going to go help run a clinic out there, a college showcase skills camp. Going to be demoing arm care as well as walking some players through just different aspects of drills and other things when it comes to pitching. But what I want to talk about today while I'm in the car and just driving and killing some time here, there's a big jump when it comes from going from high school to college, and especially I think this is a good time to talk about it just because there is, everyone's starting up their first year of college here in the next 2 to 3 weeks when school gets going. But the reason there's such a big jump when going from high school to college is when you're playing high school baseball, especially as a pitcher, you might run into 2 or 3 pretty good bats in every lineup. If you're facing a good team, if you're facing a really good team, there might be 4 or 5 pretty good bats that you run into. So with that, I just think it's important to note that one of the big things to make sure that your transition from high school to college is smoother is making sure that you had a good off season. So if it's already too late and your off season is done and you're getting ready to jump straight in, this would be more so for those sophomores, juniors, incoming seniors for high school, that you want to make sure you can throw at least 2 pitches for strikes to play in college baseball. That's going to be obviously something hard. So your fastball, you want to be able to throw that to 2 sides of the plate at a minimum. So inside, outside, being able to control both sides. And then you want something soft. And for most players, that's going to be a breaking ball, so curveball or slider. And you want to be able to throw that to one side of the plate, generally your glove side. If you can do that, you're going to have a much easier introduction to college baseball than if you can't throw those 2 pitches for strikes. If you can throw 3 for strikes, even better. But if you are still struggling to get that fastball to both sides of the plate, you're going to have to really start working on using both halves of the plate, because the hitters, all of a sudden when you get to college, basically all those guys can hit to some extent. You're not going to be seeing a lot of guys that just flat out get beat when they're in college baseball. The reason for that is I want everybody to remember we talked about this a couple of weeks back on one of these little videos that I did, is there's only 7% of players that make it from high school to college baseball. So 93% of the herd has already been thinned out. And if you're going to a junior college, there's you're facing younger players, but if you're going to a 4-year, you may be facing juniors, seniors, 5th-year guys that have a lot more experience under their belt than anyone you'd be facing in high school. So you need to make sure you're learning fast, that you're failing and figuring that out really quick, because you're going to go in there and you're going to get hit. You're going to get pummeled when it comes down to it for your first few outings. It's just the way that it goes. And if you don't, you go in there and you find yourself on the good end of it where you start having really good outings. That's good, but don't get complacent, because people make adjustments at that level really fast, and nobody is okay with just being mediocre. And guys start looking just to make progress and find a way to stay on top of it. So that would be my big thing there. From a pitching standpoint, make sure you can throw your fastball to both sides of the plate, have an off speed that you can locate. If it's not the curveball or slider, then the changeup, if you can keep that thing middle down and change speeds off of that, that's great. So long as you have a fastball to both sides of the plate and an off-speed pitch that you can locate in one spot, you're going to be in a good position as a freshman. Second thing is making sure you understand that once you get to college, you're going to be training on a regular basis. So guys usually hit the wall around early to mid-September their freshman year, because they're just not used to training and being on the field that often. So keep that in mind, that you're going to need to pay attention to your sleep. You're going to need to make sure you're putting the right food in your body. You're going to need to make sure that you are hydrating, because all of a sudden you go from, this is just kind of some extracurricular activity with high school that might take you 2 to 3 hours a day. To some schools, you might be, between weights, team meetings, on-field aspects, you might be 5 or 6 hours a day. And some groups do weightlifting 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to do it before class. So there's a lot that starts to funnel in to just being prepared to play college baseball. And a lot of that's going to be your recovery habits. So item number 1, obviously, commanding the fastball 2 sides of the plate, being able to have an off speed you can locate as well. And then number 2, big point of discussion should always be your recovery habits, because there's a lot of distractions once you get to college. A lot of times you're living on your own. You don't have, mom and dad to keep you on a schedule. So this is where you need to start being very reliant on yourself to get these things done. So I'm not trying to be the doom and gloom bringer, but unless you're paying attention to what you're doing to recover, you are going to run out of gas real quick, because most of the high school kids are not used to actually having to run that aggressive when it comes to preparing for the game itself, along with the daily training with the weight room, and then you add on the classes, and then everything else going on with living in a dorm and all these new aspects. So I want you to pay attention to that. So the recovery habits, if you have to get yourself, a sleep mask or blackout shades, whatever it is, just to really make sure you're taking care of how you're able to get to sleep, that's going to be a big aspect of it. Last thing I want to touch on is going to be your actual work habits, because some schools, if you're a D3 for instance, they're going to have way fewer work days than your D2s, your D1s, your NAIs, and your JUCOs. So if you are going to a D3, you need to make sure you have a plan. Make sure that you have an actual guide of what it is you're going to be doing. That doesn't mean you have to go out there and buy something necessarily, but if you don't have something you're paying attention to, you need to have a day-to-day structure, because if you are going to be left on your own and to your own devices, all of a sudden, I think D3 gets 24 dates in the fall, and those are kind of spread out, so you're not getting too much one-on-one action with the coach. So with that, you need to make sure you are on top of yourself, that you have something you're doing every day for your activation, something every day for your mobility work, something you're doing every day for your throwing program. What is your drill focus? How many days a week are you throwing a bullpen? What are you doing for your post-throw arm care, right? You want to make sure that you're paying attention to this stuff to ensure that you are not getting off track. Because if you just follow the herd, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to it, because the same thing I tell the high school guys is, if you just follow the herd and do what everyone else is doing, 7% make it onto college from high school. And then one thing that's important to note too is, I think it's 53% don't play past their freshman year of college. I forget if it's 53 or 57%. It's over half the players don't make it past their freshman year of college though. So that's why it's so important you pay attention to what it is you're doing and how it is you're going to handle yourself day to day, because it's so important that guys they will fail to grasp that a lot of what it is you need to do is on your own. And the guys that separate themselves, that win the jobs, are the ones that are the most resilient. They have the best mindset, and they're able to take care of things. So especially if you're left on your own, or even if you're not, and you're just going to do what everyone else does, you're going to progress at the same rate as everybody else progresses. And that is not going to change your stock. It is not going to change your value. So do everything you possibly can to find a way to change your value, make yourself a better player, and provide more return on the investment that program's making into you, so that way you can not only make it past that freshman year, but to be a big impact for your freshman year and then your sophomore year, and just keep getting better year to year. So for the younger players watching this, summer ball may not be the answer. Now, I'm a big fan of playing summer ball. Obviously, I like to do live at-bats and make sure we're getting competitive reps. But if you're doing summer ball and you don't have a reason as to what you're getting done, if it's first pitch breaking balls or really working on arm side fastballs, whatever your development plan is, it needs to have a focus to it. If you're a younger player and you're 3, 4, 5 miles an hour short of someone showing interest in you, then maybe summer ball or even a fall program isn't necessarily what you should be doing. You should be looking into maximizing that development, getting that extra velo, getting bigger, getting faster, getting stronger, and making sure you're ready to actually get the opportunity to play. Because with the way that it's going, it's getting harder and harder to get into college baseball. And if they do cut the draft down to 12 rounds, that's going to really flood the college side with even better players, which is going to make it even tougher and tougher as you go. So take advantage of it. Yes, you need to play the game. You need to make sure you're ready to go. But if you're missing a key skill set, a key tool, well, make sure that you build that up, so that way you're able to actually accomplish the goals you want. And I'll use myself as an example. My freshman year, I came out of high school. I set a whole bunch of records in high school. I did a whole bunch of really great things. And what ended up happening was the first pitch I threw in junior college got hit off the wall at about 1,000 miles an hour off the bat. And the highlight of my freshman year of college was giving up a walk-off grand slam against College of Southern Nevada. That was the highlight of it. So from there, I had the choice of playing summer ball out in Cheyenne, or I could have gone to San Diego and trained under Tom House and just really dialed in and gotten better. So for me, it was like, you know what, I'm missing a key skill set. So I took the summer off of playing and I went and trained with Tom. And I got myself way better. I was able to land a breaking ball. I learned to change up. I was able to throw the fastball to 3 parts of the zone. I got way stronger. I gained a ton of lean mass. I ran faster. I got in shape for the first time in my life. And it was a well-earned lesson that I needed to be better. And that's why I took that summer off, and that allowed me to not just play for 4 more years, 4 years total of college baseball, but also a little over 3 years in pro ball, as well as get the opportunity to coach in college baseball and pro ball and just be able to keep working with guys. So there's nothing wrong with having the realization moment that I'm not good enough as I am. There's nothing wrong with that, and that you have to go find something that's going to work out better and make those adjustments. Hope that helps. Obviously, if anything in this video made sense to you, if you have any questions, anything like that, leave a comment, send me an email. You can find it on the website. Any questions you have, let me know. I get back to everybody. Thanks, guys.